Tree. The poem was published in the year 1912. The act of planting a tree is seen from a different perspective in the poem. The poem deals with the theme of significance of planting trees and how it contributes for the balance in nature and survival of humanity. It is simple in its language, theme and structure. Careful wordings of the poem make it more expressive, musical and attractive. Well, you want to know much about this poem? Let us read the poem. Before going to that, let me introduce myself. I am Professor Venkatramubbiya, Assistant Professor of English at Government First Grade College, Gudipande. Friends, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do subscribe now and hit the bell button for notifications, and never forget to like my video and share it to your friends. Let us know the poet Henry Cuyler Bunner. Henry Cuyler Bunner was born on August 3rd, 1855 in Oswego, New York. He was an American poet and novelist. He worked as an editor in a reputed weekly, Puck. This was a reputed weekly and made popular by Bunner. He got his education in New York City. As a playwright, he is known chiefly for the Tower of Babel, written in the year 1883. His important works are Airs from Arcady and Elsewhere, written in the year 1884, Made in France, and Rowan, written in the year 1892. Poems came out in the year 1896 are his famous collection of verse. Henry Cuyler Bunner died on May 11, 1886. Bunner's works have been praised by librarians for its technical dexterity, playfulness and smoothness of finish. Hello friends, welcome to this session. In this session we are going to learn a poem titled as The Heart of the Tree. It is by Henry Cuyler Bunner. Now, as I told you, this poem has 3 stanzas. Let us try to understand this poem line by line. At the outset, let me begin with the first part of the first stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants a friend of sun and sky. He plants the flag of breezes free, the shaft of beauty towering high. Friends, before explanation of these lines, let me first give some meanings for the difficulty words in these lines. The first word I could trace here, breezes. Here, breezes means soft, cold winds. We have another word, shaft. Shaft means the gleam, streak or pole of a tree. The phrase towering high, it means growing as tall as a tower. Now let's come to the explanation of part of these 4 lines. This poem opens with a rhetorical question. What does he plant who plants a tree? The rest of the poem is the answer to this question. The poet questions and answers himself that the man plants a friend of sun and sky. The speaker personifies the tree as a friend of sun and the sky. Here, man who is planting a tree is not just planting it, but planting a loyal friend of sun and sky. The tree is a genuine friend of sun and sky. It appears that the tree and the sun and sky have mutual understanding and friendship. Friends, now let's move to the third line. Friends, as you know, the tree needs sunlight and air to survive. The speaker adds that the man plants a tree that waves or flies its leaves like flags freely in the breeze and cold wind. Here the poet is referring to the leaves of the tree as flags. The tree's trunk or the stem here is referred to as the shaft or pole, which stands tall and beautiful. In the 4th line, we notice that the tree's trunk or the stem here is referred to as the shaft or pole, which stands tall and beautiful. The poet compares the leafy branches of the tree to the flag and the stem to the shaft of the flag. He plants a home to heaven and I, for song and mother croon of bird, in hushed and happy twilight heard, the treble of heaven's harmony. These things he plants who plants a tree. Well, in this part, let us understand some of the difficulty words. Here there is a word called anai. Anai means close or near. There is another phrase called mother croon of bird. It means the soft song that mother bird sings to her young ones. Hushed means silent and still. Twilight means the time of sunset. Treble means a high note of music. And then we have heaven's harmony. Heaven's harmony means a heavenly song. Let's try to understand this. By planting a tree, the man makes his earth habitable for the birds. The poet asserts that the tree becomes home for singing birds, flying high in the sky, close to heaven. The birds make a nest in this tree and sing mother croons to their young ones. In quiet and happy twilight hour, the time of sunset, we can hear those birds chirping, which is harmonious with heaven's tunes. Thus, a man plants home for the sweet singing bird to sing a heavenly song to their infants in the beautiful evening time. It creates a heavenly atmosphere on earth. These are the things he plants who plants a tree. Let's come to the second stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants cool shade and tender rind and seed and bud of days to be, and hears that fade and flesh again. Here tender means soft, mellow. Fade here it means wither. Flesh means wash out. Let us try to understand these lines. The poet repeats the question to begin a new stanza and attempts to answer again in the subsequent lines. The refrain in this stanza is, what does he plan to plant a tree? This is also called refrain or repeated line in the poem. The tree he plants provides us with cool shade from the sun and helps in the formation of clouds that bring soft rain. The tree the man plants will produce seeds and bud in the future. Years will pass silently, but the tree will remain there through its seeds, producing new ones. Thus, a tree silently stands and watches the cycle of creation and destruction in nature and helps in the growth of many plants around it. He plants the glory of the plain. He plants the forest's heritage, the harvest of the coming age, the joy that unborn eyes shall see. These things he plants who plants a tree. Let us try to understand some difficult words. Here, there is a word called plain. Plain here means the earth or the plain land. Heritage here means legacy. Coming age means future. Unborn eyes means a reference to future generation yet to be born. Friends, let us try to understand this stanza. The poet explains that this plain called earth gets its glory or greenery through trees. The poet describes the trees as the glory of the plain. Today's single tree may turn into a forest someday. By planting a tree, the man is making this plain land beautiful and plants a forest heritage for the future. It is the harvest that we do for the future generations. The poet says that the planting a tree today would give us fruitful results in the future. Our next generation who are not yet born would be delighted to see the vegetation and reap its benefits. Planting a tree is our contribution to the unborn children of the coming generation to make this earth a better place and more beautiful place to live. So, all credit goes to the man who plants a tree. That's why he uses the word. These things he plants who plants a tree. Let's come to the first part of the third stanza. What does he plant who plants a tree? He plants in sap and leaf and wood, in love of home and loyalty, and forecast thought of civic good. His blessings on the neighborhood. Before going to understand these lines, let us try to understand the difficulty words. Sap here it means juice or liquid. Forecast means foresee. thinking about future. There is a word called civic. Civic here stands for the public or social. Well, let us understand these lines. The last stanza of the poem also opens with a rhetorical question. What does he plan to plant a tree? For this question, the poet himself answers and explains that by planting a tree, the man shows his love and loyalty for this earth or his home. The man also shows his sense of civic duty, social concern and responsibility. It reflected all of these in the sap and leaf and wood in every cell of the tree. It's also like a blessing he offers to his fellow creatures in the neighborhood. Let us come to the last part of this poem. Who in the hollow of his hand holds all the growth of all our land, a nation's growth from sea to sea, stirs in his heart who plants a tree. Let us try to understand some difficulty words. Friends, observe this capitalization of his. A capitalization in the word his in the line attributed to godlike abilities. It refers to a person who plants trees. Here, hollow means empty space or void. Stirs means stimulates. Let us try to understand these lines. The man who is planting a tree is holding the growth of the land in his hand. We see the capitalization of his, who in the hollow of his hand, it is used to refer to a person who plants trees. He has been attributed to godlike abilities to plan the destiny of the nation. He is contributing directly or indirectly to the growth of the nature, the growth of the nation, and protecting the entire earth. In short, he holds the growth of the nation in his hands. When a tree is planted, it set in motion the progress of the nation from sea to sea. And all this start from the progressive thought in the man's heart who plants a tree. Through such simple yet powerful narration, the poet has successfully pointed out that we can regard the tree as the heart of the human life that looks over the well-being of everyone. Friends, now let's come to the summary of this poem, The Heart of the Tree by Henry Cuyler Bunner. The poem, The Heart of the Tree, is a poem about the beauty of planting a tree or the satisfaction derived from this practice. In this poem, the poet beautifully describes the actual essence of what a person plants when he plants a tree. The poet explains that one who plants a tree plants friend of sun and sky, a flag of free breezes. The poet further observes that the stems are like beauty shafts which keep growing. The man who plants a tree plants home to birds whose song we hear in the twilight denotes heaven's harmony. Again, the poet highlights that the man who plants trees plants cool shade and tender rain, seeds and bud of tomorrow. These trees would rise the glory of the earth in plains and strengthen the forests to benefit the generations ahead. The person who plants the trees also plants a future. Finally, the poet concludes, one who plants a tree germinates the far-cast thought that would bring blessings, resulting in the nation's growth. The person who plants trees also acts as a good citizen of his country, because by planting a tree, he brings joy and blessings to the neighborhood. Because of all it does, the land becomes fertile and thus a boon to mankind. Friends, thank you very much for watching this video. I hope we can meet in the next video for an interesting session.